The following audio has been taken from the post-budget 2008 interview between New Zealand Prime Minister John Key and Neil Collins, who carries the Queen's Service Medal in 1990 and Officer of New Zealand Order of Merit. It also includes parts played in reverse at 3 different speeds. No extra audio has been added. Annotations provided are possibilities of what was said in reverse. Reverse speech is a form of truth test, which is always in context to what is being said forwards. Reverse speech can come from the conscious, subconscious or deep unconscious mind. This analysis reveals that the rise in unemployment and economic suffering has been planned globally, and that there are dark elements that plan to destroy the world. Politicians are lying to us, but fire truth can be exposed in reverse.
Well, a very good morning, the morning after, Mr. Key.
Morning, Neil. How are you?
An eventful day for your first budget. Surf we all. Surf we all. Surf we all. Reading Bill English, his first budget to the House and to the country. And how did you feel it all went? Yes, no, give it a fire. Yes, no, give it a fire. Yes, no, give it a fire.
I thought he did an exceptionally good job. It's a very, very difficult economic. I want to get looked at. I want to get looked at. I want to get looked at. Conditions under which to put together a budget. Yeah, arguably the worst conditions since 1930. You'll be outraged. You'll be outraged. You'll be outraged. And if you look at the budget, it received a very, very positive tick. You're very adverse of the. You're very adverse of the. You're very adverse of the. The international rating agency Standard & Poor's actually upgraded New Zealand, took us off negative watch, but again pops significantly. That's hugely important. It means that not only will we pay less for less in the form of interest for the money that we borrow,
Well, to get that rating and to get that rating improved within hours of the budget being released, that was something of a coup, really, wasn't it?
Oh, I think so. I mean, I heard the leader of the opposition, trying to say, look, you should ignore the rating agencies. Well, I hate to tell them the bad news, but 93% of what we owe offshore to foreigners. And I don't think we want to make this country even more indebted. This is enormous. To foreigners than we have to. US vacuum with them. Where this government is borrowing, and it's borrowing at a considerable rate. To maintain all the entitlements to keep superannuation in the showing every day. To make sure that the hospitals and things are operating properly, to make sure working for families is there, all those kinds of issues. Leadership is not. But to further indebt the nation when you don't need to, in my view, would be reckless and irresponsible. So I think we got the balance right. There's in the backdrop of these very difficult economic conditions, we've got debt actually coming down. We're going to become less indebted over time. And yet we've maintained all the entitlements. There's $3 billion extra for health, a huge home installation funding package, $1.6 billion into education. So look, I think on balance it's a good budget.
I was speaking to Phil Goff a few minutes back, Mr. Key. He believes you don't have, as a government, a coherent plan to keep the New Zealanders in work that we have, and the promise of 180,000 unemployed coming up in the next couple of years means that you should have had more schemes for working apprentices, etc., in that field.
Well, we'd utterly refute that. It is for real. I mean, firstly, it's important to understand the unemployment, those on unemployment benefit in New Zealand, and that's currently sitting at around about 42,000 people now, even under the most dire predictions. Gets up to about 80,000 people. Do we want to see people unemployed? In the United States, there's 8.5% unemployment. So we are doing a lot along the day work, yes. Actually to try and create employment, whether it's actually hiring the 600 extra police or the extra probation officers, right through actually to making sure that there's a lot of money going into literacy and numeracy, training and make sure that we're lifting the skill base for New Zealanders. There's a number of programs, one that was there for students. Actually over Christmas and contained in the budget. I think people are realistic. Actually to understand this is a global phenomenon. Unemployment's actually rising. Unemployment's actually rising globally everywhere now. We can take the rough edges off there. And do our best to stop it. Is have a strong plan for your economy, lift productivity, Hiuskamme, Jezus, Ratsel, Jemanochgarief. Hiuskamme, Jezus, Ratsel, Jemanochgarief. Hiuskamme, Jezus, Ratsel, Jemanochgarief. This budget got the big tick on all of those.
Well, you certainly do need to get those Kiwis working in and back into work those that have already lost. It's all year over dessert. Jobs in the last year or so. Because without those wages flowing around, it's less GST, it's sales denying of it's less money spent in the retail sector in particular. Last year when the sector in particular, so it means less money for the government. To work with. Another thing that Mr. Goff referred to was taking out $3.5 billion from KiwiSaver before the end of last year, and he felt that was the start of the decline for future superannuation, in other words.
Well, look, I don't accept that. I mean, we made some adjustments which we campaigned on, and that was resolutely given the tick by the New Zealand voter. What we've actually done is ensured that people can afford to stay in KiwiSaver for the long term with a 2+ self-gested invest model of the RCW. Self-gested invest model of the RCW. Self-gested invest model of the RCW. Scheme. It's a good scheme. Most people can afford to be in there if they choose to want to. The numbers support that. There's been a constant increase in the numbers of people taking up KiwiSaver. That gives you an indication that New Zealanders can not only afford to be there, but they're supporting. The new scheme that we've got, of course, they can pay in more if they want to. And I think, you go back and just look at what the opposition the opposition is saying at the moment. They want to spend more. They're saying on tax cuts. They want more to spend more on KiwiSaver with our gun. Want to spend more in a lot of other areas. Well, that means we become more more indebted to foreigners. So an office is hidden that's what that means. I mean, there's no getting as a government, we ourselves are borrowing just short of 10 billion. The to Revese to fund ourselves on, and also I said enough of that. He wants to have New Zealanders borrowing $20 billion a year. He's ordinary living. Look, I think it's totally unacceptable. All this escalated us.
Well, that's one good feat. If good enough to Nature of the Standard & Poor's rating, it means that when you do have to stay in your business, the world market and borrow the rob the gambler. At 10 billion, and they live next to that the interest rate won't be as high as it could have.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, interest rates actually came off because of, they were lower, yesterday because of the Earth was off about the sea. The upgrading from Standard & Poor's all from the net and from the Dow. And again, I heard Phil Goff saying we should just ignore the rating agents. Ms. Yang, how are the one? Says, well, look, I wish we could ignore rating agencies, but the reality of it is that they have a huge influence on the willingness of foreigners to know if a singular will not know if misuse. To lend us money, and 93% of what we borrow, we borrow from foreigners. So, yes, I'm sure I'll be aware of. Yep, we've got to work. Hard to lift productivity. To lift wages and to lift the savings rate in New Zealand so that we can fund more of our own future growth. That's absolutely an objective of the government, but we need to recognise at the moment we're highly dependent on them. And I think it's really irresponsible to say to hell with the rating agencies. It's in this disease. Just shows a lack of understanding about economics. Come on together.
The problem is, we have as a government is in the swimming pool of debt. You're in the deep end at the moment, and the tide is pushing against you to get up to the shallow end. But you do think, and certainly Bill English indicated that by, well, shall we say 2011, 2013, you'll start to come out of it.
Well, Treasury are predicting that. Treasury predicting that we grow by 2011, 2012, reasonably aggressive growth year, starting to get into the sort of 4% numbers. Look, it's very hard to know exactly what growth will look like. I actually am of the view that by the end of 2009, we'll certainly be back in to a growing phase, and the reason zero net for that is that we're starting to see the emergence of some signs that confidence is coming back globally. We will, if we don't grow in the June quarter, we've had now 6 quarters of negative growth. We're again close to this war. The interesting thing was that New Zealand went into the recession a lot earlier, went in and really did it, and then we look at all So look, the big gain for New Zealand has got to be used this time where the world is globally weak. To reposition ourselves now and ensure that we're an export nation, so we need those other countries to be strong, to be buying our products. But to a certain degree, we're we've got a plan that shows that we're a lot less indebted than other countries. Features of the budget, $7.5 billion. Going into more roading, to more electricity upgrades, to rail, all of those things.
That news coming out of America, though, was not helpful a few days ago, where they're going back into subsidization. Of their farming and their export and dairy. That did not help, and it wouldn't help the farmers. So we've got some extra work to do there. Hey, there it go.
We certainly do. Look, it was an unhelpful move. It started really with the European Union putting on subsidies in this year's budget. New Zealand spoke out loudly against those. We regret the fact that the Americans have effectively retaliated. Look, one of the lessons from 1930 was that there were three things that governments did wrong back in 1930, because it wasn't what it be if they had more. What would it be if they had more? What would it be if they had more? The recession of 1930 did not deliver the Depression. What delivered the Depression was the responses from governments of the day. The first thing they did was they stopped spending. Well, we're actually got to spend more because you need to stimulate the economy. You mag get down, but you mag get down, but you mag get down, but the second thing was they don't get me guesses. They took credit out of the market so people couldn't borrow. That's why you did an share. Through our bank guarantee schemes. And the third thing, that they did was they put up protectionist barriers. Now, again, all that does is reduce global demand and global consumption. They put up protectionist barriers. Now, again, all that does is reduce global demand and global consumption. It's a very negative step.
Prime Minister John Key. I know you've got an extremely busy year. Morning and day ahead of you. I can't tell you where to go looking for to drill for oil, or where you could mine for gold, or oil. Diamonds, that's an amount. Or diamonds that won't help us be very helpful, but I don't fly here. One thing, if no rest. Apple cider vinegar, manuka honey, Hunenberg in the Varsel. Hot water, and that will help the vital and the earth. Mucus and clear that chest.
Well, I certainly hope so. Neil, that sounds like a damn fine idea. I tell you what, those bluff oysters I had at Bluff at the Oyster Festival on Saturday helped me though. Do it the pulse of their health.
Thank you for your time this morning, much appreciated.
Bye-bye.
Listen for Prime Minister John Key each Friday morning with Neil Collins on Hits and Memories Radio Dunedin.
Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand.